Because we are family. That's what we gonna be talking about today. Oh, them family members, Lord Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to True Chulas.
Because they are a hot mess.
Yeah.
Them family members, like, I don't know.
Familia.
Yes.
Familia. Can't live with them, can't live without them.
No. The madres, the padres, the hermanos,
tias,
tios,
primos. You're good.
All of them. I mean, that's in my background as we learn. I worked that out with my... Suegra. Oh, Lord Jesus. Help me with them. All of them. But yes, we are back. True Chulas in here.
True Chulas.
And we're going to talk about our families a little bit.
Yes.
Other people's families.
Dynamics.
I know. What consists of a family? Do they have to be blood related?
Mm-hmm.
Can your friends be your family?
I say yes.
I agree.
I say yes.
Absolutely. Crazy enough, some of my friends are actually closer to me than my own siblings.
Yeah.
Some of my siblings I don't even talk to like that.
Yep.
I mean, it just what happens.
Yeah.
Get into that little argument. No one wants to move past it. I mean, I have, but we're not going to talk about that at the moment.
Girl, you were eating your sandwich earlier. Did you know I don't like tomatoes either? I saw you pick your tomatoes out of your sandwich, and I was like, she's just like me.
I hate tomatoes.
I do not like tomatoes in my food.
Right. So I'm like, we may be family. You never know.
Sister from another mister.
Right? But yeah, family members, like, can't live with them. Can't live without them. I mean, I could live without some of mine, but...
I know. It's hard when they're toxic and you need to, distance yourself. But
right. At
the end of the day, you got to do what's good for you. All right, so do you want to talk about the dynamics in your family first?
Oh, snap. My crazy family, I mean, they're not really crazy, but... they are just a tad. I mean, I have 3 brothers, and I have 4 nephews. I'm the only girl. It's crazy.
Hey, I'm the only girl too.
Are you? Yes, and I'm the youngest. So, and then, my mom and my dad, and that consists of my immediate family. Mm-hmm. And then my daughter. So she's the only girl as grandchild. So it's everybody else is a boy. And I grew up that way too because all my cousins were guys. And I had one other girl cousin, but that we were the only ones. So, I mean, nothing is all peaches and clean.
No, never.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my family.
I have a madre and padre. I'm blessed to have them. My brother passed away in 2009, so he was my sole sibling. So now I'm kind of like an only child. It's kind of weird to say that out loud. But he left behind my niece, so we have her, and then, my tias and my tios, that's basically it. When I say I'm an only child, that's only on my dad's side, because he was one of 5 boys. Okay. And all the grandchildren had been all boys until I came along, so they were super excited. Ooh. That... little Miss Victoria was going to come along. And I was the only girl for a very long time until
it's fun
my
being
uncle,
the only girl.
Yeah, he ended up having a girl, but she's I don't know. We didn't grow up together, so it's even kind of weird to think of her because I was the only girl for forever. Right. But on my mom's side, I have girl cousins, and it's so fun growing up with cousins. Primos are the bomb.
They are.
Right?
They are.
They're kind of like siblings.
They are, because you experience a lot of stuff together.
You almost get along better with your primos.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I probably talk to my cousins more than I even talk to my brother. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and I have 3 of them, so...
You only have 3 cousins?
Oh, no. I got more cousins than that.
Wait, I misunderstood.
No, I do, because, my dad is one of 14, so...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, my grandfather was, Papa was a rolling stone. I mean, so... So, therefore, there were 14 of them. They all grew up in the same town, didn't realize they were siblings, and then one day figured it out.
Wait, they did that with that ancestry.
Like, literally, they did. Like, figured it out.
Wait, how did they figure it out?
Well, my grandfather passed away when they were all, like, kids. So it was, like, just the talk. Like, they all were just talking, like, oh, my dad passed, blah, 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 because they knew.
So they all knew who their dad was, but they didn't know that they were related siblings?
Mm-hmm. Oh. And so I guess when he passed, like, just by conversation, and then they were, like, putting 2 and 2 together, and that's how they figured it out.
Oh, my God.
I know. It's crazy. It's super crazy.
That's crazy.
But, I mean, they all get along, so that's a benefit that they all get along. I know them all, so I keep in touch with pretty much all of them from both sides, like my grandmother's side and then their mother's side. So I still talk to. Yeah. I keep communicating with a few of them. So, but then that means we just have a massive amount of cousins. And that's like even when the one time I lived in Atlanta, my one uncle was like, you better be careful who you talk to. They could be your cousin. And I was like, okay. So clearly I wasn't dating anybody in Atlanta when I lived there.
That's funny.
Because I was like, do I gotta do a family tree with you before?
Ancestry.
Yeah, before we like start talking, because clearly you could be in my family. So yeah, that was just a whole nother level. And I was like, this is weird.
Has anybody in your family done ancestry?
We haven't. My parents know a lot about our heritage and different family members and where they've come from. Now, they haven't fully shared all this information, as I'm finding bits and pieces as I keep getting older about where my family's come from. But we haven't really, because my grandmother on my mom's side has a lot of information, because she was an only child. So she was literally around like her cousins all the time. So she knew like different family members. So she has like a lot of pictures and like can literally go down and talk about, like, she can go a few greats back for me. And so
that's awesome.
It is. But I still want to do ancestry just to kind of.
You and I kind of chatted about it a little bit. I totally think we should do it and then like read the results for our listeners, and just kind of like you and I be surprised when open it up and share it with them.
Right?
Yeah, we should totally do that.
It's really in our background.
We gotta wait for it to go on sale though.
I know, we do.
Who can afford that retail price?
Literally. So with your brother passing, like, how did that affect your family dynamic? Did it change anything?
It was hard for sure. Growing up, it's kind of funny because we talk about nature versus nurture, and him and I were complete opposites. Wow. Like I'm totally like, I was a good student. He did not like school. He did not do well in school. Okay. He was a rebel. I was a good girl. Like, I was, like, straight and narrow. Like, I never got in trouble. Right. And we're just... And when you cannot compare your children, they're like apples to oranges if you have more than one child. Because even though they have the same parents, they can be completely different.
Okay, so about having more than one child, you know how sometimes as siblings we'd be like, oh, mom and dad have a favorite. Like, I only have one child, and that's it. So I can't,
play favorites.
I can't play favorites. Like, that's it. I'm not going to say, do you have a favorite child, but do you think it exists? Like, you lean more towards not necessarily liking one child more than the other because you like your kids and you love them, but like, do you gravitate more to one than the other?
I personally don't think I do, because I have a boy and a girl, and they're completely different.
And neither one of them has ever been like...
Well, I mean, like, one's got good aspects that I love, but the other one's got, like, other aspects that the other one doesn't have. Right. But I think if I had more than 2 kids, like, say I had 5 kids, I think at that point I may have a favorite, or even 3. I don't, that's a great question.
Right. We used to say that my mom had a favorite.
Yeah.
And it was just
But you were the only girl.
And I know, but I wasn't the favorite. It wasn't me.
You sound sad that it wasn't you.
No, I'm not, kind of not, because then that kept the eyes off of me. But I wasn't.
See?
But in certain things, though, like me and my older brother, he's a few years older, and we were like, yo, he's the favorite, like my middle brother. And they would be like, no, we don't have favorites. We love you guys all equally. And it's like, but based on behavior, it really comes off that way. And favorite might be the wrong word, but it's like there's more conversations, there's more like leniency when we would get in trouble. And it was just like the treatment was almost slightly different. And we were like,
okay, who was a favorite?
So my middle brother, that's above me directly.
Okay.
Was the favorite.
Okay.
The
youngest brother.
Correct.
Okay.
So he's the youngest boy.
So the baby boy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he's the favorite.
We think he's the
Everybody
favorite.
thinks the
yes.
same. Except for him, of course.
Right.
Of
and
course.
he'll be like, no, that's not the case. And we'll be like, okay. But there are things that would happen with him that he would do. And it's like his punishment was like nothing. And then it's like we would do something and we would have like such a greater punishment. And we'd be like, but you don't have a favorite? Okay. And we just like, this is crazy.
Okay, so Papi Chulo's got 3 boys in his family, and the baby was a girl like you. Suegra was going to keep having babies until she popped out a girl. So luckily the number 4 was actually a girl. Otherwise, she wanted a girl.
Right.
But okay, that's fine. You know, you got your girl.
Mm-hmm.
But not like you. She was like the baby girl. Like she got everything she wanted. She like got away with a lot of stuff.
Well, I didn't get away with a lot of stuff, but like my brothers would be like, oh, you're dad's favorite. Well, I was like, well, you know, they always say daddy's girl, and I was the only one. So, I mean, come on now. Like, that's a given.
I always do think that there's something special between girls and their daddies.
Well, same with mamas and their boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
Really?
No, yeah, I agree. But if there's more than one girl or more than one boy, I don't know how that works.
I don't either, but it went down in our household, and I'm just saying. But, I mean, and then that probably also affected the dynamics of the relationship between your parents. But, I mean, I don't know.
They had a hard time when my brother passed away. I'm not going to lie. I think even now when I hear of parents losing their child, whether it's young, old, you know, whatever, anytime, any adult, any madre, padre loses their child, it's going to be devastating. And it just, you know, takes a long time for, I mean, even now, like the anniversary of his death was last week, and it was hard. Like, you know, my mom and I were talking, and she's like, I can't believe it's been, you know, 14 years since he passed away, which I can't believe it's been that long either. And it's like, you know, it's just a constant, everything reminds you.
Yep.
It's just, it never goes away.
Right.
So it was weird going from being 1 out of 2 to being the only one.
Right. Did it help with the fact that he had a child?
Yes, because now we love her to death. She's a part of our family. She knows that, you know, she's our connection to him, and she knows we love her. So she's thankfully been a part of our family since he passed away.
Right.
I mean, so when she was born, we're all like, oh my God, what is happening? Because, you know, he was young.
Right.
I'm not going to go into whether they were married or not. But anyways, like, we were like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? It was one of those things where we're like, why is this happening? And then, like, after he's passed away, we're like,
oh,
okay.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then that brings us into, like, okay, so we mentioned having friends, because sometimes, you know, people have families that they are toxic and you can't be around them. So then it's like, do your friends become your family? Are they more of a family than your blood relatives, like who you're born in, the family you're born into and with? And it's like, do you value them more than your family that you're born into? Because some people take offense to that when it's like, well, how can your friends be more to you than me and I'm your like brother or whoever it is that is in that like stance of your life.
I see both ways. Like, I feel that everybody needs friends, right? I think, and even, you know, my students, we talk about this all the time because we're like, are they really your friends?
Right.
Are they bringing you up or are they bringing you down?
Correct.
Right? Are they toxic? Because if they're toxic, then they're not really your friends.
Right.
And that's a very difficult concept to learn, even as adults.
Right.
Have you ever gotten rid of a toxic friend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd disappear on you. I'd be like, I'm out. Because if you my friend and I'm your friend and we not making each other better, like, what is it? Like, it can't be one-sided where it's like the friend's always coming to you about their problems and you're never checking in with your friend. And sometimes, like, even for myself, I've had to take a step back and be like, okay, so I know I've talked about this and my friends have heard this and then it happens again and they're the ones I've been to. But then sometimes I've had to look at myself and be like, okay, even in my own mind being like, have I asked them what's going on with them? Have I checked in with them? Even everything that may be going on with me, like, have I really like checked in with them to make sure that everything is all right with them? I've even had to do that mentally myself and realize like, okay, I do have to take a step back because I love my friends dearly. Like, they are my family. I ain't got many of them, but the ones that I do have, I care and go hard for my friends.
Deeply. Yeah. And that's what I tell the students. It's better to have a handful of really good friends who have your back, that you consider family, as opposed to having many acquaintances or just have lots of friends that you think you're
or even being around your own family you're born into. Like, they can have the same traits as them friends, being toxic and not building you up and tearing you down or saying crazy things to you and not being positive. And it's okay to be like, it doesn't matter if you're my blood relative and this is the family I'm born into. Like, you're not doing anything to help me enhance my life. Like, I'm good.
I'm not disagreeing in that aspect, but I think as far as Latinos go, because the family relation is so close, I think it's hard.
Okay.
I mean, I had a best friend in middle school and we stayed close all through adulthood, but she went in one direction, right? She never got married up until we were friends. I got married. I had kids. We didn't have anything in common, like nothing. She didn't know how to act around my kids. Like, she was living the life. She wanted me to go out with her. She wanted me to go do getaway weekend trips. And I'm like, no, I can't. I got a husband and 2 kids to take care of. And so it really got to a point where she just wasn't good for me anymore.
Right.
Like, she just... And Papi Chulo even was like, I know you don't want to, and I know you don't see it, but you gotta let it go.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, like, I had to take a step back and evaluate, like, where is this going?
Right.
You know, and I think what happened was, at the end of the day, I just kept holding on, because she was like one of my oldest and dearest friends.
Yeah.
Like, she was literally my BFF. And it was hard, but I mean, it was...
So with letting friends go, do you think you can let family go?
Well, I think in some instances you don't have a choice, but I think it is very difficult.
Right.
And I think some people think because they're family, they have to put up with their...
Literally, they do think that. And even family members believe you have to put up with their nonsense because we're family.
Yeah.
But why should I have to put up with your nonsense just because you're my family?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Because, like I mentioned before, if you're not helping me better my life from the standpoint of, even if it's just being encouraging or being a cheerleader or whatever the case may be, it's not even necessarily doing something for someone.
Having your back.
Right.
Yeah.
Why should I allow you to remain in my life just because you are my brother or my sister or my uncle or my aunt or even your parents? I mean, I know it's even harder when they're your parents, but if they're not doing anything either to make you better, because sometimes parents can be just as toxic.
Yeah. Well, and we know people who children have disappeared from their parents' lives, and
Yeah.
it's very sad. I mean, clearly we never know the whole story,
Right.
but I mean, everybody's got their own story, and I honestly feel at the end of the day, like, when you hear other people's stories, you're like, okay, our family's not as screwed up as other people's families. But, I mean, I know that shouldn't make you feel better, but, like, we're all in the same boat. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody has a perfect family.
No.
I love.
But it's all about setting them boundaries.
Yes.
And making sure you have your own standards. And making sure you know what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. And that's from anybody across the board, whether it be friends who you consider family or family members themselves. And it's like, I mean, I've talked about my brother, the youngest boy, and our relationship, we were super close in high school. And then it's like, once we kind of like started living our own separate lives, it became super rocky. And it's like...
But why do you think that happened?
Just because we became different people, or
like you didn't have anything in common.
It's not even that. It was just more so of like us growing up, and it was like
the maturity level.
Yeah, it could be that too. Like I was in a different stage. I became a mom. Like,
well, that's huge,
right? I was in a different place in my life, and then he was in a different place in his life, and it's just like we kept clashing over. Over just even the smallest things. My dogs.
How far apart are you guys in age?
A year and a
you
half.
Close. You're not that far apart.
Very close in age.
Oh,
a year and a half. Not. I think it's a little bit less than that. So, it was just like we were just clashing. It was either how one spoke to another or who said what, and it's like. We just got to the point where we were just like, well, then we'll just communicate in text message, or like I get updates about him from my daughter because, I mean, she has a great relationship with her uncles. And then it's like, or he'll get updates about me from like my mom, and like that's how we keep in touch.
So do you think if you guys were further apart in age, that would be different?
It could be because our brother...
you can't be any closer in age.
Well, no. Because my two brothers that are above him, I talk to them all the time. I actually need to call them back, but yeah. Speaking of, but they're older. One is 3 years older, and then the other one is 9 years older.
Okay.
So
that's a big gap.
Yeah. So it's like I talk to them all the time. Have a great relationship with them. Like we speak on the phone. So it's just, I don't know. It's kind of different. I don't know.
Well, Papi Chulos, they're literally Irish twins. Like two of them are the same age for like a month.
Wow.
My suegra popped him out like literally every year on the year.
Wow.
So they're, I mean, like you and your brother, except all four of them are the
like
same,
wow.
the same, like a year apart, basically.
Oh no, that's too much.
Thank God she had the girl.
Right.
Oh Lord.
How many would have followed after?
Love you.
We do.
Okay, well, I think we could probably do a couple more episodes about Familia, especially if like our listeners like start chiming in with like, different things about Familia that they want us to talk about.
Right.
I do love my tias. My tia's listening. Shout out to my tia.
And my uncle.
Yeah, and the primos. They're listening.
I know. And
shout out to our international friends.
I know, right? Who love us just as much. All my friends listening who are like my family members. So I love it. Yeah. And they love it. So we're going to keep going.
And if you guys want to find out more about our family members, you got to reach out, ask us questions. We'll answer them.
Yeah, we'll answer anything about any of our episodes.
Sure.
We definitely will. Any of our topics we've talked about, feel free to ask. And maybe we'll have to do a questionnaire.
Oh, well, the ancestry thing is for sure.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And we'll do our questionnaire episode where you guys send in questions and we can just go through all the questions.
Love it.
That'd be super fun.
Yes.
Well, until next time.
True chulas in the house.
Woo! We out.
Adios. Besos. Bye.